I'm Randy Abrams. I'm a senior security analyst at OPSWAT, and one of our products is a multiscanning system, which is really cool because back in 1997, I started the first multiscanning system at Microsoft, so I get to talk about something I'm really, really passionate about. So there are a lot of big numbers out there when you see people talking about how much new malware there is. You've got like your semantics, Kaspersky. AV Test talks about how much they see. It's like, what does it mean? I mean, does that mean that you add them all up, or that one company's saying a lot more malware than another, or perhaps they're counting things differently? So, all those numbers were different. They were like half a year, or for the year, or Kaspersky's were 2017. And it's kind of hard to find those numbers nowadays. A lot of the companies don't advertise how many they see. So that's what happened when I tried to count them on an abacus. But that might have been my fault. I'm not good at abacus. So I decided to go to Excel to count those numbers, and I typed in the numbers, the formula, hit enter, and that didn't work either. So are those numbers hype? I call it honest hype. The numbers you see are real. I have no reason to believe that they're being fabricated. They are real. But there's a reason that there are so many of them, and people might think it's all from unique families, and it's not. A year ago, Web Group had a report that 94% of the samples they see are only seen one time. And I've talked with other people in the industry, and this actually is a fairly common number. 85% to 98% is what I've heard. So, yeah, 300, 700, 1,000, whatever, they are unique pieces of malware. But don't think that means you got some brand new threat out there. It's service, or it's WannaCry, which I haven't heard of being particularly polymorphic, but there are a ton of different pieces of malware that are polymorphic, and some of them will generate new variants very quickly, like a matter of seconds. But only one person will see them, or only one company will see them. So let's do a little bit of math on this. I've only used 4 vendors that I found statistics for. I'm specifically, artificially keeping this number low. I didn't see the numbers, recent numbers for Trend. I don't have numbers for ESET. I don't have numbers for a whole bunch of products. So these last ones, I put at 10,000. I'm sure most of those companies are seeing a whole bunch more than that, but I don't want to overstate the numbers. So if you take each of those numbers, and I'm using 90%, some say 85, some say 94, I'm just using 90%. Now you see how many of those millions are actually only seen one time by anyone. So what that actually means is that for all the samples AV Test saw each day, there were over 1.2 million samples AV Test never saw. There were about 1 million, close to 1 million samples that McAfee never saw. Whatever vendor, there are millions. And remember, these are artificially low numbers. There are literally millions of samples they don't see except for one of them. Now, don't mistake that for can't detect, because these companies are really, really smart people that create really cool heuristics. And with a single heuristic, they can detect almost everything, if not everything, for a specific family. So you've got one heuristic, and that took care of 20,000 variants. So that's part of understanding the numbers. They don't see, that's how many samples they're not seeing, but they probably detect most of them, but most of them really isn't good enough for us. So people say, well, why should I use more antivirus products? My scanner got 100%. And We see a lot of products getting 100%. You know, any of you believe that antivirus products can actually detect 100%? Oh, come on, someone's got to be gullible. 100% means there weren't enough samples, and that's not the tester's fault. None of them can see all the samples, and we know that, like when a WannaCry comes out, or all kinds of others, there isn't 100% detection. Many times, no product detects it immediately, so that has to do with the freshness of the samples. Mind you, the testers are mining hundreds of thousands of files a day, but the ones that would have shown that they don't really detect 100% weren't fresh enough, they weren't in the test collection yet. 100% also means that these products are doing really, really well. It's like, they might not get 100%, but if you see that in a test, they actually are doing an extremely good job. So, welcome to multiscanning. Is there anyone here who has not used a multiscanning system? The reason I asked it that way is because people tend not to raise their hands. So if I ask if you've all used a multi-scanning system, most of you won't raise your hands. So you've seen this, you upload a file and you wait for the result. And then you look at the result and make a decision on what to do based upon the information you got back from the system. Sometimes it'll say 1 scanner, sometimes it'll say 30 scanners. And you have to try to figure out sometimes exactly what it is you're dealing with. So which antivirus product is the best one for you to use? And Jimmy Poe is a veteran of the industry. He's not here, unfortunately, but he worked at McAfee the first time I heard him say this. He didn't say McAfee's the best. He said the best scanner is the one that blocks the viruses you encounter. And for that moment of time, it's exactly true. The one that protected you was the best scanner. So why multi-scanning? Well, as you see, there are going to be different time of detection. The time between the creation or release of the malware and the time that detection is added is your window of vulnerability. So regardless of polymorphic or non-polymorphic, you're going to want to be, at the moment this new malware hits, you kind of want to be using a product that detects it. In some cases, vendors can take weeks or months or even years, literally years, to add detection for something. And I'll show you an example of that. There are different algorithms for detecting polymorphic samples, and many of them are not perfect, they're really good. But sometimes there's going to miss, and they only have to miss the one that only you are going to see. So a multi-scanning system adds proactive defense. You're not sitting there with your antivirus only on the desktop. And I've got to make it very clear. Multi-scanning does not replace endpoint protection. Multi-scanning adds a layer of protection, and it's proactive because it's before the files have a chance to get to you. So that's defense in depth, not just the antivirus, but you have firewalls and all that stuff. But this adds to your layer of defense. So you've all heard of zero-day detection. I call it 0 minus X day detection. So in this sample, ESET was the only one to detect this, and at this point you don't know really whether or not it's a false positive. Turns out it wasn't. But I guarantee you, on the date of that last update, ESET already had detection, and it happens with all the vendors. You look at the results of your submission, and the fact is that in almost every case, they had detection before that. So if you had detection 10 days before the sample came out, you had 0 minus 10-day protection. In this case, no, it's not a false positive, so that specific point in time that it was released, ESET was the best product. Another time, it's going to be K7 or McAfee or Avast or AVG, you name it. So 8 days later, after that first one, now you can see that we're up to 17 scanners. 48 days later, we're up to 24. Which was the best scanner 8 days later? 48 days later, if you weren't using one of these, you weren't using the best scanner. So, how many of you were using FileSec Lab on 11/24/2015? How many of you heard of FileSec Lab? Yeah. Richard has. Yeah. Okay, so none of you were using it when the sample came out. So for you, the scanner you never heard of was the best one at that point in time for what you needed. Now, 2015 might seem like, this is kind of dated. Well, were you using any of these scanners in 2016? No? At that moment in time, you weren't using the best scanner. So 2016 still old. Well, I scanned it again. 4 years later, we have less than robust detection. So it does take some companies a long time where they never had detection for certain threats. So what you have with multi-scanning is multi-vector security. The system has to be API driven nowadays. Back in 1997, my system put the floppy disk in the computer, run the scanner, run the next scanner. That doesn't scale for an enterprise. Even submitting, one file at a time isn't going to scale. So you do need an API. And then, for effectiveness, you're going to want to integrate your multi-scanning system with your email servers. You want that proactive defense. You also need to handle other attack vectors. You can integrate with an ICAP server. Secure file vaults. There are situations where third parties, and you're all aware of supply chain problems, have to upload files. So you put them in a safe location, and you can scan them. If you want to, you can actually, if you have the time, sandbox all of them, although not all of the file types will execute in the sandbox. Do any of you remember what we used to call sheet dip machines? A company would put a computer, a PC, with an antivirus product on it, and if an employee came with a floppy disk or whatever, they would put it in the sheet dip, which a sheet dip actually kills pests on the sheet, a variety type. But nowadays we have what we call a kiosk, and there are multiple vendors that have kiosk solutions, and with the kiosk you put the thumb drive in, and one of the benefits is that for the multi-scanning system implementation is that you can also integrate it with other types of security products. So, and at the end, if you want to see a kiosk, I can show you one. But what's really important is sometimes you cannot send your files to the cloud. I don't care how much you trust someone. There may be legal reasons. Nobody is hack-proof, but you can't. And so in those situations, a multi-scanning system in-house allows you to add that kind of protection. So when you're using multi-scanning, according to Jimmy, you're always using the best antivirus product. Okay, I won't pretend like there aren't any problems. We're all familiar with false positives. It takes time to scan files. But OPSWAT's customers have found that this false positive issue and the performance impact are very, very manageable. Now this is a vendor presentation, so you've got to allow me one slide. So don't take my word for it. A lot of companies find that it isn't such a big deal that they want to give up that much security. Okay, I promised in the abstract that I would show you, if I had time, which it appears I do, I would show you a false positive that is threat intelligence too. You could argue, and Richard definitely will, that this isn't a false positive, and it really depends on if you define false positive as detecting something that isn't malicious. In this case, because Berthu was pretty specific, I'm not sure if they would actually say, well, yeah, that actually is the hacking tool. And then forums say Linux, Umbrian, toolkit, rootkit. But let's look at what was detected. There's not really much there. In fact, if you read some of this stuff, please read this carefully and type yes, and there's a warning there. Everything's printing with very, very few exceptions. And in fact, by changing some of the print statements, I was able to break detection. Does that mean that products are bad? No. Here's why. Have any of you seen Umbrian? Are you familiar with it? Pokemon theme, but it comes with a bunch of files that aren't necessarily malicious. However, if you see any of those files, you'd better be looking for that. So the detection, whether you want to call it a false positive or not, if you say it's not a false positive, then you say all these other vendors missed it. And they'll say it wasn't malicious. And so they're both right. But this was threat intelligence. I found this file, uploaded it, scanned it, and I actually found the file in the collection I had, and yes, it's with the rest of the root. So sometimes a false positive is actually a really good thing. So with that, I'll let you get to prepare for dinner this evening. I thank you very much, and I hope you found my perspective on what those numbers actually mean to be of interest.